Good evening and welcome. Thank you for attending the regular council meeting of Monday, August 7th, 2023, in person and online. With regards to, please come in. Councillor from District 1, Douglas Smith, is joining us. So continuing with we're starting the Mayor's report, I'd like to congratulate two Hudson Junior sailors for representing the Southwest region in Rimouski at the 57th Jeux du Québec last July. So Angus Beauregard of Hudson came 8th in the first rounds of competition, and Justin Amiot came first in the category of 15 years and younger. So we're very proud of them and wish them good continuation in their success. I'm taking also this opportunity to share a following message from the Urban Planning and Environment departments. In the fall, we will be distributing trees for a second time this year. In this case, it will be to underline the National Day of the Tree. So on September 21st, the town of Hudson will distribute 100 trees on the 22nd of September to citizens who will have signed up ahead and reserved a tree. Priority will be given to people who have not received a tree in the spring distribution. Details will be available. I'm translating in French. I'm about to say things in French, sorry. So details will be available on the town's website and different social networks during the month of August. Also, to let you know that the RCI process, so this is the Règlement de Contrôle Intérimaire, or the interim control measures, continues to go well. Our replacement bylaws are, we anticipate to present them in the fall with a public presentation mid-November, if I have the numbers right, with a final adoption in the first week or at the December council meeting, which is usually the first Monday of the month. This month, we will have two public meetings. One is set for Monday, August 21st, for a public presentation on the Council's progress on tools that we have prepared for the revival of the SDC, so that is the Société de Développement Commercial. An invitation was sent out to the merchants on Friday. And also, I have sent a personalized invitation and detailed email yesterday to the SDC directors that have been in place since 2017 and are on the annually updated provincial registry. So again, this public presentation will be held here on Monday, August 21st, and it will start at 7 p.m. I'll be presenting the work that we have done to date, the tools and the next step that we proposed to the merchants in support of this revival. And we will invite all who are interested to attend. And it is important that those in support of this SDC relaunch be present to come and listen as well to an external consultant who we have to accompany us through the next steps. This is Chris Navater of Équipe. She has strong experience in running SDCs and helping merchant communities come together and establishing their priorities. So it is important to know that the next steps will be fully up to the merchant community to come together and to gather their priorities and to put together their action plan for the following year. The reason we are doing this at this time, it may seem a little short, is we're trying to not miss out on the 2024 season or subsidy of support from the town. Of course, if this process for the next steps takes a longer period, then we will certainly adopt the next steps as they come to be ready. So again, there's no special rush on our end. We're just trying to give the most time and the best window of availability and support to this relaunch. Also, on Tuesday, August 22nd, there will be our second public conversation on how to develop differently. So in April, I had invited Luc Maurice to come and speak with us and me to explain different ways he had found that it was easier to work with the community in developing projects that sometimes can push the envelope, but always looking to provide the services and the best type type of project that fits a community. This time around, so the second conversation will be with Anne Dessureau and Sylvain Deschenaux. So Anne was someone who reached out to, it was Benoit and I think about a year ago. She is someone who's worked for Aucun for over 30 years and is looking to put together a retirement project. She has a wide network of investors and a deep love for our area and is looking to stimulate the coming together of developers, investors, in order to bring a project that will provide services to the aging community. We suggested, Marie-Jacinthe and I met with them, I believe it was in June, and so we suggested to them that we have this new forum that we have developed, and they're welcome to come and present who they are, the type of project they're proposing, and essentially they are looking for land or properties or a synergy with a local group. And I thought this would be another good way of showing that sometimes by just opening our doors, it is possible to invite a different approach to development, where it is really the developers selling themselves to the community and looking for a good fit. So you'll find that the agenda this evening is pretty straightforward. The agenda is reasonably short as well, so hopefully I will get through this rapidly. I'm looking, Doug likes it when I take a very long time with my report. That's right. Doug has a new puppy, so he can't be away from the window of opportunity of keeping the puppy awake and well-trained. At item 5.2, there is, you will see that there is an item with regards to a notice of preemptive rights. So this is in following with bylaw 762/2023 that was adopted in April. This is with regards to first rights of refusal on lots that are identified by council as having a certain public interest. So this evening we are actually proposing a list of properties that we have identified in this first round. There may be others to come. This means that this list of lots will be registered in the land registry office. The owners will be notified, and this preemptive right is operational for 10 years and gives the town a period of 60 days to confirm or refuse the first right of refusal when a property comes up for sale. So essentially, the price of the offer is the same one that the town has the opportunity to approve or to refuse. Next month, if all continues to go well, you will find that there will be a resolution, or a point on the agenda with regards to a new agreement with the Legion and some corrections to previous agreements. So essentially correcting the way and paving the way for a long-term agreement with the Legion. We are very pleased with this progress and continue to work on this and hope that we will have a fruitful outcome to share with you next month. With regards to our directors, you have Marie-Jacinthe Roberge, who is here with us, starting our third month together. And Martin announced to me this evening that this will be his last public meeting, which is wonderful as well. He will be returning to his quieter evenings. And at this time, he is working with us about 20 to 25 hours a week on special projects where Marie-Jacinthe now has the full coverage and the full responsibility of the day-to-day operations on all departments, and where Martin essentially is just keeping an eye on emails and any questions that we may have and making sure that the transition continues to go extremely well. We have also Susan McKercher, who is with us. She is replacing Melissa Legault, who is away on maternity leave. And I believe Mrs. McKercher is here 3.5 days a week at this point. And are we staying at minimum? This is great. So Susan McKercher was with us with the previous council as well. She has a lot of experience. We're very pleased to have her. She knows the town, which is wonderful. She's fully bilingual as well. And it is a pleasure to work with you. So items carried over from last month, you will see the two bylaws, the adoption at the end of the agenda. So these are items 10.1 and 10.2 with regards to changes to the open fire bylaw 436 to include restrictions related to the two highest level of the SOPFEU, so it's the Société de Protection des Forêts contre le Feu. So their fire danger indexes are now rolled into our bylaws so that when they raise their emergency levels, we too are able to come into action. Also, the nuisance bylaw, as we adopted the draft modifications last month, there has been no changes to these modifications, so they are as presented last month. So this is for a change of hours, where currently the bylaw allows for noise from tools, including lawnmowers, between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. from Monday to Friday. We are reducing this to 8 p.m. on those weekdays, and also where presently the times are from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturdays, and we will be reducing these starting on Friday evening and Saturday evening and Sunday evening, reducing them to 4 p.m. So rather than 6 p.m., we're bringing it down to 6 p.m. 4 p.m. We have not received any comments against this. We have not received any request to rethink this, so we are moving, as far as I know, we are moving with this at the item. Also, there is a paragraph that we are adding in this bylaw with regards to lawn cutting of grass that is over 12 inches, I believe. So this is, again, to be able to address, there are a few properties in the downtown core and other places where lawn care has been slow. And also, please know that we have sent a notice to the owner of 514 Main with regards to the pile of debris that is outside his property, and he assured us that on his return from the construction holiday, which would be this week, that he would be taking care of this pile. Also on August 2nd, so last week, Peter, Reed, Marie-Jacinthe, and I met with a handful of merchants to exchange on the increase in number and sound level of outdoor events. This, as we heard from a resident during last month's first question period, represents a definite sound nuisance for residents who live within audible range of the commercial establishments. This meeting we hope, will turn into a regular monthly set of meetings between merchants and council to develop collaborative strategies on how to solve situations and irritations rather than having to resort to tighter regulations and fines. So this may cover the proliferations of signs, it may cover terraces, it may cover whatever. So please feel free to come to us if there's some issues that you would like to have discussed or addressed. At this time, the first meeting I'm anticipating on having with them is on September 15th. We will be holding it at Cardinals. I will be offering to the residents who have been approaching us on a repeat basis with regards to noise and the level of sound, music sound, to attend these meetings so that the merchants can hear directly from the residents the negative outcome or results of these events and that they've had on their lives. So again, if there's anything you'd like us to bring up, this would be a good time, once a month, mid-month approximately. Also, with regards to public information meetings, I know that everybody's dying to know when we will be meeting to present Pine Lake and the next steps. We too are dying to know when we will be meeting. I believe that this news will be coming soon. I believe it's Laura who is heading this part, so it's coming soon. We don't have a date to announce, but please know that it is on our working table and very much of interest to the council members and of course to you. With regards to the paving program, work is expected to start at the end of August, I believe, for the list of streets. Pour les travaux des rues, les travaux de pavage sont supposés commencer à la fin du mois d'août, je pense, c'est ce qu'on nous avait dit. Donc je vous regarde, I'm looking at the directors just to see if I'm saying something I shouldn't, but the last update we had received, pardon?
J'ai pas eu d'informations.
No.
Il y avait du changement dans
So for now, the information we are going with is the end of August, and also there will be 2 or 3 sets of road patching between September and November. Also, a special request was made by a member of council, the patching be done mostly for the cyclist riding along the edges of the unimproved and least recently improved parts of Maine. So we do have the safety of cyclists in mind, and that will be part of the priority on the patching of roads that are not part of this, this list. I know that Birch Hill, presentation on sewage of Birch Hill is also a topic that keeps coming back up. I will give the same update I gave last month, which is we've received 2 out of 5 bids on invitation for a drainage analysis of that sector, because we know that even a big part of that area, the issue is also the poor drainage of the ditches. And it may come out that it is least expensive for the owners of that sector to go with a more upscale individual sewage system, but that this one will have to drain into ditches. So without functioning ditches, this whole system, of course, wouldn't work. So the contract was actually awarded, I believe it was in June or May or June. So this is the part that we need in order to then come and present the whole picture. I hope that makes sense. Lakeview is also another project that comes back to our table often with regards to asking on its progress. So as a little mise en contexte, a little intro. In continuation with the work that was begun by previous council through resolution of July of 2021, the plans and technical descriptions for the reconstruction of Lakeview Street was ready and ready to begin as well for the next step when we came in. There was a proposal that we could go for a subsidy, a federal subsidy that would pay for an extra width that could be reserved for multifunctions, so walking, cycling, but essentially widening the present, I believe it's 6 meters of Lakeview, giving it another, let's say, 1.5 meters, and I'm going from the top of my memory here, but essentially providing either an attached or a separate multifunction lane. This subsidy was approved at the federal level. However, it is stalled at this point at the provincial level, and we cannot commence work until this subsidy is approved, or the work will not be admissible to this subsidy, and we would lose this. So the subsidy that has been approved by the federal is $2,040 or up to. So it's a significant amount, and it is, we feel, an important piece that we are not ready to renege on. Also, as part of this work, in the technical development stage, it has come across that the drainage of a part of Lakeview is connected to the drainage on Selkirk. So as part of the project, we are redoing the drainage and widening Selkirk as well. And actually, on our agenda this month, we should have had that work was ready to begin, but again, we pulled that resolution because we did not have the monthly, the provincial approval. So it is in someone else's hands. We've put pressure, we've given the information at the provincial deputies or MNA's level, and hopefully they will be able to assist us as well in moving that file forward. There is so many updates, and I want you to know that at any time you're invited to reach out to us. I held the coffee with the mayor. It was actually this past Saturday, because I will be away next weekend. But please feel welcome, and it's my pleasure to receive you and to answer any questions that you may have. On Saturday, there were 9 people who came, some that I'd seen before, but 2/3 I had not. So it was a lovely sort of way of exchanging. And I think for different people to understand that there are different perspectives, different needs, different interests. Some very good recommendations came through, and I thank the ladies mostly who attended past Saturday, but I invite you to continue to attend. Typically they are held the Saturday following the council meeting, but again, that could be changed if we find that it's more interesting to hold them before the public council meeting. I believe you were thinking of having a district meeting in August?
I inquired.
Yeah.
And was trying to make sure that there were no conflicts, so to speak, but I most likely will move it to
September. October. Okay.
Well, September, my intention was September, but everybody's coming back and there are still things going on, so I will most likely move.
Everybody should keep an eye out. There may be a district meeting in October.
I'm under a lot of pressure, so it'll have to happen in October.
Helen, you heard it here first.
And I will invite the new Director General to attend.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes.
No one can keep up with you, Helen, but I'm trying.
The Demolition Committee met on Tuesday, July 25th for 558 Wilson. One letter was received. The people present in the hall during the meeting were essentially the elected and two of our spouses. Thank you for attending. They're here this evening. Doug, did you want to provide a recap of the committee's decision and recommendation to council?
Well, I can very simply. It was an unusual situation because there was some work in progress and it had gone beyond what I think the bylaws permitted in terms of the degree of demolition, which is 50%. So the work was stopped and a demolition request was put in place and we reviewed it, and none of the conditions that would require either reconstitution or rebuilding or we didn't refuse it. We accepted it, and so it moves forward on that basis. Deposit is being asked relative to ensuring that the exterior of the home is finished. A deposit of 10% based on the evaluation of the dwelling on the property. And I believe that urban planning will communicate that with the owner of the property, and it will proceed on that basis.
Thank you, Doug. With regards to upcoming activities, the auto show will be held this year, Saturday, August 12th, and also Hudson Day will be on Saturday, August 26th from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. The program will be available, I would expect, on our town's website very soon. Also, to let you know that during my absence, Darren Legault, our pro-mayor, will be stepping in, and he will be in direct working contact with Marie-Jacinthe to receive regular follow-ups on day-to-day operations and serve as a connector between town and council. Darren, I'll probably put an automatic forward of all my lovely emails to you, but please know that if anyone's leaving me a voicemail, that it probably, actually, you know what? They do go to our voicemail. They go to our emails now, so you'll get those as well. All right, so ready to move on to our regular. And
Darren will be compensated accordingly, right?
Yes, I'll bring him a gift from my camping house. Under $200.
A salad?
A salad, if you'd like, or blueberries. You like blueberries. All right, so moving on to item 1.1, adoption of the agenda. I will need a mover and a seconder. So moved by Reed Thompson, seconded by Peter Mate, that the agenda of the regular council meeting of August 7th, 2023 be and is hereby adopted as submitted. Are there any objections to... Oh, en français.
Alors, la résolution vise à adopter l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du Conseil du 7 août 2023 et que ce soit adopté tel que soumis.
Merci. Are there any objections to this resolution? No, there are none. It is carried unanimously. Confirmation of minutes, item 2.1, whereas council has...
Sorry, just to make sure it's Mr. Thompson and it's Mr. Mate who...
Ouais, mais les deux plus proches. Ma vue commence à baisser, donc j'en profite. Je pourrais mettre mes lunettes. Item 2.1, confirmation of the July 3rd, 2023 regular meeting minutes. Whereas Council has reviewed the minutes of July 3rd, 2023's regular meeting, I will need a mover and a seconder. So Marc Gray, seconded by Benoit Blais, that the minutes of the Council meeting held on July 3rd and is hereby approved as submitted.
Alors, le point 2.1, adoption du procès-verbal de la séance ordinaire du 3 juillet 2023. Le Conseil a vérifié le procès-verbal de la séance ordinaire du 3 juillet 2023 et la résolution vise à adopter le procès-verbal tel que soumis.
Là, on a pris les deux prochains conseillers. Vous voyez un petit peu le patron. Are there any objections to this resolution? There are none. It is carried unanimously. So first question period. Laura, how many people online?
15.
15, and we have for about 8 people in the room, plus us and administration and CSURTV. So,
You have a question online.
Please go ahead.
It's Jim Duff.
Hello, Jim.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I wanted to get some comment about the trail network, which is in very poor shape. There's a lot of broken and missing planks. There are drainage and erosion issues because of all the rain we've had, I know that. But it's overgrown in many places, including noxious weeds that people are complaining about. I can tell you that one cannot, there are parts of the trail network, certainly the Bradbury Trail, that you literally have to push your way through the underbrush. I was wondering, I know that this has been brought to your attention repeatedly, and I presume that it's been signaled on the town website, but what's going to happen here? Are we going to just let it go?
The intent is not to let them go. We have asked for a follow-up. I'm looking at Marie-Jacinthe to see if she has an answer from you, and it's all right if you don't. But it has been raised by multiple councillors, has been raised by me. I did get Louise's message as well, thank you, with photograph. Those are always helpful. I think we all walk the trail network on a regular basis, and certainly it's a priority for us. So we'll get to the bottom of this and make sure that there's a regular program put in place, but there is no intent to let any of this fall to permanent disarray.
Second, follow-up on that. Do I have the right to cut some of these weeds and do some of the repair work myself?
On aura des validations à faire, Madame la mairesse. J'ai eu des discussions avec l'équipe des travaux publics et, en tout cas, on pourra valider exactement là, des emplacements, mais il y aurait des emplacements qui ne sont pas sur des propriétés municipales. D'où l'enjeu de l'intervention.
I don't know if you heard this, Jim, but Marie-Jacinthe was also raising an interesting point, which is some of these trails are not on public property. So I guess there is a process there where we have to go and receive the authorization on whether we can continue to pass there and maintain them. But to your question on whether you can do the maintenance, I think that low maintenance is one thing, but to go ahead and then to replace boards on wooden walkways, considering that this is public, I'm more uncomfortable with, but I will let Marie-Jacinthe digest this and come back to me with a written answer, which I will forward to you.
That's good. I just want to remind you that the town is liable, and there have been numerous precedents set throughout Canada, federally and provincially. The towns are liable, municipalities are liable for anybody that's hurt on the trail network, on a public trail network, or a private trail network that's homologated into the public network. So I want to bring that and emphasize that you really don't have a lot of time to waste waiting to this happen.
Thank you, Jim. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
No questions in the room? Helen?
Yeah, I just wondered if you had any news about the Sandy Beach development with the...
I have not received any news since the notice of retraction, right? All I know is that the minister, Nick Anko had asked for an extension to the 15-day period that they had, but this was at the end of June. I don't believe we've received another update since. Yes.
So nobody knows what's happening on that.
The ministry is really in full control of that file.
And the other question I have there, the town had commissioned different consultants for planning for the parks, planning for places like Wharf Road, planning for all kinds of levels of planning for the town. And I wonder what's happening with those consultation
Is this past
reports.
council had mandated different consultants?
There was the past council, but I think this council continued, if I remember
We're
correctly.
aiming to put in place, how do you say, to start the master plan process for parks and les sentiers, so walkways and paths and green spaces, but that will be in the fall. So we would be launching a call for tender, either on invitation or public tender, to address and to give programs to all of those different parks, to prioritize what type of parks, what type of amenities, and again, to prioritize, you know, a certain network and to fix what we can. So it's really to give work orders to some extent, but also to help us in determining our budget and our plan triennal each year, you know, our 3-year investment plan, so that we know in which direction or which ones we're getting done, because you don't get it all done in 1 year, the actual implementation, but you would want to spread it over certain years. But had past council
I thought that this council had already commissioned certain studies with different firms to...
So maybe what you're thinking of is the remarkable trees?
It wasn't just remarkable trees, there were other studies. I'll have to, well, I'll look it up in next council meeting, or I'll send an email. I remember there were certain consultants that we had hired.
We have certain consultants, but it really was more to support the interims control measures for natural areas. Also, we are starting, and that will be coming more for mid-October, but we're starting to prepare for the master plan changes for urban planning. So there will be a workshop which will be the launch of that, where there will be a sort of look and feel thinking with the public, with merchants, with different promoters, to see how can we come to a denser, if we want, downtown core while preserving our heritage and all the qualities that we appreciate. So that will be coming, but we'd hired Christian Tifo, for example, doing 2 proposals for a redesign of Yacht Club Road, looking to work with the merchants along there in order to reclaim the storage that is presently taking place on public domain. So that has been started, but we haven't completed that process.
Okay, thank you.
I have Carol Ann Mills.
Yep, please go ahead. That's okay. You can come to the mic and prepare anyway. Oh, okay. That's all right. All right.
Hi, good evening, Chloe. And
hi, Caroline.
Hi. Just something we wanted to bring to your attention. We went to for a walk, parked at Jack Layton the other day. There was a CSURTV truck. One of our security cars was there. The car that was parked just beside us did not have a tag. A lot of people were coming from the parking area up above. And so we stopped the security fellow and asked if he wasn't going to ticket that car. His response was he was going off shift, but he would call someone. By the time we finished our walk through Sandy Beach and came back, and I'm just going to go off on a tangent and say thank you so much for the wonderful big garbage cans and not having overflowing garbage. So kudos to whoever took on that challenge. We got back to the parking lot. There were now 5 cars without parking permits. I called security. I was on hold, and I've got a picture for 17 minutes. They came back to me and kept putting me back on hold. So you really can't get through. They're just not able to come to respond fast enough on that. That same evening, we went to the concert in town. A lot of people were there. Again, kudos, very, very successful, a great event. And towards the end of the concert, a couple of people were sending off what are referred to as Chinese lanterns. Now, I know we've had a lot of rain, but you know, anybody who's setting off anything with fire into the sky, sort of, and I think I've gotten to the age where I'm now a real stick in the mud, but it was really concerning to see these Chinese lanterns being sent off into the air towards the condos across the road. Asked one of the security guys if that was okay. He said that wasn't his responsibility, but there was a security car parked across the road. We crossed over. The guys had their heads down. They said they were filling out a report. So although one of the fellows agreed, he said, je suis complètement d'accord, c'est con de faire ça, mais c'est pas notre responsabilité, c'est un terrain privé. Our job is strictly to enforce the bylaws of the town. That's private property. We don't have anything to do with it. What can I say, folks? I don't know what the contract reads. You just think if these fellows are there to patrol and to provide income to the town to offset their cost, we don't see them doing that. So is it time to review the contract? Are you seeing reports? Are you satisfied? I'll just leave it.
Thank you, Carolyn. I think we've been coming across quite a few situations. Thank you. These are new ones that I hadn't heard of before. Since Marie-Jacinthe's arrival, she's taken on the file of the community patrol with great energy. And I think this will help her as well to continue to ask them for better service. I believe their contract renewal comes up soon. If it's not a renewal, we'd have to go back out to public tender and attract better service providers. We're not the only town that is having issues with them. They had improved their services, I think, through training, because they've had a lot of turnaround of staff as well. So it is an ongoing issue, but thank you for pointing these out. I know that we're looking to modulate when they are on our territory, because some people are aware of when their times are, so they take advantage of the fact that they're not there. So we need sort of a moving, a day where they can show up when it's not the standard times. So it's not an easy thing, which I think explains why we're moving as much as possible away from tighter regulations, because every time we tighten a regulation, that means that we need the community patrol there to back us up. The best solution moving forward is really to get the community to work with us and to help in creating the best type of working scenario. It's tough. Parking is a tough one. We don't have much space for it in certain areas, and then we have a lot of it in other areas. So how do we sort of balance that out and encourage people to walk rather than to bring their cars directly to source? I believe that the Circulation Committee also has been looking into this with regards to Jack Layton Park, but it will be an ongoing observe and adapt and change, but your comments and your observations are very helpful. So thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
Yes, hi. I'd like to know when the issue of the pumping station at the end of Lower Maple will be addressed.
Lower Maple, you wrote us the lovely email. Yes, I believe that is in the hands of our Public Works and Director General. Do we have an update for this lovely? Tu veux une mise en contexte?
Pour les,
OK, on a une station de pompage à la fin de Lower Maple. Je pense qu'il y a eu des pannes d'électricité, donc il y a eu un manquement au niveau du pompage. C'est pas la première fois.
Samedi, il y avait pas de panne d'électricité, puis ça marche pas encore. J'ai d'autres eaux qui est rendu dans mon sous-sol encore.
You can speak to me in English. It's okay. I'm just.
No, I can do both.
No, I appreciate it.
Since 2021, almost since I've moved to the house, we've constantly had floods in our basement. I don't know if it's now worse because of the new buildings that are there with the Habitation Civil-Mena, but all I know is that this is now the second time I've had to get my insurance company involved. They came and cleaned, and now on Saturday it happened a third time, where they will need to clean my basement, rip the walls out. Luckily, I put in different flooring, so hopefully it won't be as bad this time, but I had to pay the difference for that.
And this is, how am I going to say, this is soil water coming from the drain?
Through the drains, yes.
The drains.
Clogging up.
So it's not sewage, or it's a mixture of sewage and what?
There's no odor as in some bad sewage like that, no, but it is definitely not water that the fire department was not able to come help pump it out because they said they were not allowed to. So I've had to, get my insurance involved and have someone come up and get the water out, and I do have my son who is in the basement in his bedroom, in the bathroom. It's a row of townhouses, and it's the last 3 that are always getting the water issue. I'm the only one that has someone living in the basement, so it's even more, critical. So I was told that on August 1st, there was going to be cleaning of the pumping stations throughout Hudson, but if they cleaned it, obviously on the 5th, and I have no idea why there's not a generator. I was told there was a generator, but why is there not a generator that when there is an issue like a loss of power, that it's not backing that up?
I believe Marie-Jacinthe would like to provide.
Il y a effectivement une opération de nettoyage. Il y avait des signaux qui montraient qu'on devait procéder à un nettoyage, ce qui a été fait. Et le nettoyage en question a occasionné un bris. C'est un bris qui est arrivé cette fin de semaine.
C'est quoi ça, un bris?
Sorry?
It's a break. So the cleaning went on as planned.
Yeah.
Whenever it was scheduled to happen recently, and there was an equipment break that ensued. So that is probably why you had flooding again this time around.
L'autre élément important, comment tu as mentionné le nom en anglais de l'équipement?
Backwater valve.
I do have a backwater valve. I did my due diligence as a homeowner. When the first few times it happened and it was only a little bit of water, I still was concerned. I had a plumber come out, and I'm to code. I have the valve.
You have to check if it's work or not, because the backwater valve normally.
So every time that I have a power failure in the area, I have to go get someone to check my valve.
No, it's just a backup. It's an extra backup, but what he's suggesting is that if you have one installed, but it's still coming through that drain, it may be a sign that it's a backup, right? Like, we don't want you to be relying on it only, but it might also indicate that your backup valve is not working.
Okay, well, like I said, so I had a plumber come and check it, and then we also had a plumber for my insurance come and check it, and again, it's functioning. It's not, there's nothing that I can do as a homeowner to, rectify the situation. Now, is the pump adequate enough a size now that there's, 2 huge, not huge, but low-rise condo buildings on the street? Is it perhaps not the right size? Because I know it's bigger than it was before the townhouses that I'm living in were built, so there was an accommodation for that. Now we have 2 more buildings, is it not the right size? Is it not,
Est-ce que je peux vous laisser le dossier entre les mains? Vous allez revenir à madame. Remind me your last name, please.
Five.
Ça va? And
Parfait.
let them know your address without, you don't need to share it publicly.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah, but yeah, as I said, as a homeowner, I've done everything I can, and I can't even now sell my house if I want to until this is rectified, because no one's going to want.
I appreciate you. I remember seeing the email. I appreciate you coming this evening, and I'm sorry that this is an ongoing issue.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
There are what, 6 units?
6, yeah.
Are you the only ones affected?
The 3 at the end, I don't know why that is.
3?
Yes, we contacted other people on the street, so I don't know why that is.
I just
Yeah.
my own clarification.
I tried contacting our builder as well. They're not very forthcoming with any kind of aid for things. I've sort of done all my due diligence to make sure that I've done my part. But like I said, I can't function like this. Missing work and just the stress of it, single mom, it's just not feasible for me to deal with anymore. It's making me not want to live in this house anymore, and it's a shame. I love Hudson. I have nothing else to complain about here. So I can't live like this. So I just need it rectified.
I understand. Thank you.
And thank you. I'm a mechanical guy, and I'm just trying to understand if it's
Yeah.
1 of 6 or if it's 3 of 6, there's something unusual.
It is, yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
And there's even other houses that are previous houses that have been there a while, and from my understanding, I personally didn't talk to them, but other homeowners in the unit in my townhouses spoke with them, and they don't have that issue. So yeah, again, it doesn't make sense to me.
You're probably lower down as well?
Perhaps, yeah, the grading, yeah.
I trust that our lovely team will take good care of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I have Mr. Carl Gagnon.
Please go ahead, in French or in English, pick your language.
Oui, bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
J'avais une question relativement au projet immobilier qui est affiché en ce moment au coin de Lakeview et Cameron. Il y a une affiche là, justement pour ce développement-là qui est sur place. J'étais curieux de savoir si c'est le rendu final du projet qui a été approuvé ou si encore c'est un projet qui est en attente. d'approbation?
C'est un projet multirésidentiel, donc la question c'était par rapport, the question was with regards to a multi-unit condominium building that is on display, or there is the announcement that it is coming on Cameron. Donc c'est un projet qui a passé à plusieurs reprises au comité consultatif d'urbanisme lors du mandat du conseil précédent, donc en 2017 et 2021. Ce projet a finalement passé cette étape-là. Il a été aussi approuvé par le conseil précédent et le permis de construction est en voie où il a été donné. Puis là, on arrive dans des finalités. De ce que j'ai entendu d'une personne qui, justement, je pense qu'il est en ligne ce soir, c'est que le promoteur est en train de faire des ajustements aux appartements pour qu'ils soient conformes au code en vigueur par rapport à l'accessibilité. Donc, il y a des nouvelles normes en vigueur. Donc, je pense que c'est vraiment des ajustements intérieurs qu'ils se font présentement. S'ils auront à faire des modifications à l'apparence, par rapport à ce qui a été approuvé, il faudra qu'ils reviennent au conseil et évidemment au comité consultatif. So, do you want to hear this in English? Do you want me to answer this in English? No. Est-ce que ça répond à vos questions?
Oui, ça répond à ma question. C'est évidemment décevant de voir l'exécution de l'architecture extérieure par rapport justement au patrimoine bâti déjà dans le village, justement de voir les bâtiments adjacents. Mais bon, je comprends qu'il est maintenant trop tard.
Disons que pour l'instant, tant qu'il n'y a pas des modifications, puis quand même, ça prendrait des modifications qui sont quand même assez visibles par rapport à ce qui a été approuvé. Ils ont le droit de construire tel qu'il a été approuvé. Mais si vous avez un intérêt justement pour ces questions d'intégration architecturale, je vous propose de soumettre votre intérêt et votre candidature parce que tous les 2 ans, on remplace, on a ici le président du CCU, donc du comité consultatif d'urbanisme. C'est quand même un comité qui est composé, je pense, c'est 9 résidents plus 2 élus. Il y a souvent des membres ou en fait périodiquement des membres qui sont à remplacer ou qui viennent à la fin de leur intérêt. Donc si jamais c'est quelque chose qui vous intéresserait, habituellement le renouvellement se fait en janvier. Mais j'y vais de mémoire, mais je vous invite à déposer votre candidature.
Merci, oui, effectivement.
C'est bon? Merci beaucoup.
Merci, bonne soirée.
Yes, please come to the mic.
Bonsoir, Alex Guzman.
Oui.
Je demeure sur Sanderson.
Oui.
Merci pour le bylaw nuisance.
We can speak in English if you'd like.
Pour la nuisance de bruit, mais je voudrais aborder un sujet qui est comment est-ce qu'on dit? La pollution sonore, plus spécifiquement. Donc, je vis le problème à tous les samedis, tous les dimanches, à tous les lundis, tous les jours dans la semaine, avec les véhicules motorisés, et spécialement les motocyclettes, qui prennent l'envol sur Bellevue à toute allure.
Vous, avec le traversier Bellevue, c'est sûr, vous avez beaucoup de passants aussi.
C'est ça. Ouais. Moi, ça ne me dérange absolument pas. Le motocycliste qui passe et qui fait son bruit normal dans le véhicule, sauf que c'est devenu une habitude des motocyclistes venant d'Aucun de faire un bruit phénoménal.
Un vacarme.
Un vacarme. Et c'est tout au long de la rue Bellevue, du début jusqu'à la fin. Donc, je me demande si on peut passer un bylaw concernant la pollution sonore ou avertir au moins le propriétaire du traversier de mettre, bien évidemment, de respecter au moins les citoyens.
Donc, on revient à la même problématique, même si on avait un règlement, si on avait le droit d'en imposer un pour des niveaux sonores, parce qu'il faut les mesurer, il y a plein de choses, mais là, on revient avec notre patrouille communautaire.
Oui, sauf qu'à Montréal, je viens de le lire, durant le jour, on accepte 55 décibels. Et juste pour vous donner une idée, un enfant pleure ou crie à 120 décibels et les motos sont bien plus qu'un cri d'enfant. Donc, s'il y a déjà des réglementations à la ville de Montréal, à Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary et toutes ces villes-là, je ne vois pas pourquoi.
Non, je comprends, l'intention est bonne, mais imaginez que pour ensuite faire respecter ce règlement, ça prend quelqu'un qui peut mesurer les décibels puis qui va avertir quelqu'un.
Vous pourrez faire une fortune et payer n'importe quel projet.
Oui, mais justement, il faut l'encadrer. Donc, il faut toujours réfléchir dans ce sens-là, mais il y avait une personne qui est venue justement au café avec la mairesse, qui a proposé déjà comme point de démarrage, en fait, il y a des enseignes qui existent. Ils viennent demander aux gens de respecter la quiétude des lieux puis d'éviter d'utiliser justement soit des radios très fortes ou d'autres choses. Je pense qu'à Saint-André d'Argenteuil, il y en avait. Donc, on va regarder ça. Vous n'êtes pas le premier, évidemment. Je pense que j'en reçois 2, 3 par mois, ce genre de commentaires, de questionnements. Là, c'est à réfléchir jusqu'à où est-ce qu'on peut aller puis comment est-ce qu'on le fait respecter.
Moi, la seule chose que je peux vous dire, c'est que du moment que le portefeuille du malfaiteur est touché fortement, on s'est calme. Donc, c'était ma proposition.
Martin, vous voulez
Merci.
Juste pour compléter, pour les règles de son des véhicules automobiles, premièrement, c'est la SQ ou la police de Montréal qui doit le gérer. En Europe, il y a déjà beaucoup de campagnes qui se font pour les motos de cette nature-là. Les policiers interviennent un peu comme les barrages routiers puis ils vérifient. Ça ne se fait pas au Québec présentement. Fait que ça serait très difficile. Moi, les enseignes, oui, mais au niveau du contrôle, ça serait vraiment à la SQ. Puis la SQ, présentement, ils ne font pas ce contrôle routier-là. Puis ça serait difficile de penser que le propriétaire du traversier le ferait. Faut quand même être relativement... je vais être positif, mais en même temps, tant que les autorités ne le feront pas, c'est eux qui vont être capables aussi de donner les amendes et qui sont capables de le faire. Nous, notre sécurité publique n'aurait pas le pouvoir d'émettre ce genre de constat-là. Ça, c'est sûr, c'est clair. Il faudrait parler probablement, voir avec la SQ s'il y a des programmes qui y viendraient. Mais n'oubliez pas que c'est des touristes qui passent et qui viennent faire un tour. Puis, ils vont dans la majorité, ils longent le bord de l'eau. Il faudrait qu'on ait toujours des gens en place ou une SQ en place à l'entrée, à la sortie, à l'entrée
Juste pour vous dire, on a été les premiers au Québec à avoir un bylaw pour les pesticides. Je ne vois pas comment on ne peut pas faire quelque chose concernant la pollution sonore.
Moi, je vous parle du contrôle.
Oui, mais
on peut faire
la technologie, et peu importe de la façon qu'on va se prendre, on a été les premiers pour abolir les pesticides. On peut être les premiers à abolir la pollution brutale du bruit.
Bien sûr.
Voilà.
Merci.
Merci.
No? So this closes the first question period. Moving to section 3, Peter's favorite section, urban planning and environment. So moving to item 3.1, 272 Main, SPAPE, accessory building.
So item 3.1 is 272 Main. It's an accessory building, so it's basically a shed. So a permit request was received for an accessory building at 272 Main. TPAC reviewed the file and had a recommendation to approve conditionally the SPAPE. The permit request at 272 Main was conditional approval at the following condition, that the siding of the shed be of the siding identical to the ones found on the main building, or of a combination of siding identical to those found on the main building.
Alors, on passe à la résolution 3.1, 272 Main, un PIA pour un bâtiment accessoire. Alors, une demande de permis a été reçue pour un bâtiment accessoire au 272 rue Main. La recommandation unanime est d'approuver conditionnellement. Alors, la présente résolution vise à approuver le PIA relatif à la demande pour le 272 rue Main à la condition suivante, que le revêtement de la remise soit d'un revêtement identique à celui qu'on retrouve sur le bâtiment principal ou d'une combinaison de revêtements identiques à ceux qu'on retrouve sur le bâtiment principal.
Merci. Do we have a mover? Peter Mate, seconded by Mark Gray. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 3.2, 310 Main, another SPAPE major renovation.
So 3.2 at 310 Main is a major renovation. A permit request was received for major renovation works at 310 Main. Basically, it was the roof, the roofing material, and the dormers. The recommendation is by majority to approve the permit request.
Alors, point 3.2, 310 rue Maine, PIA rénovation majeure. Alors, une demande de permis a été reçue pour des travaux de rénovation majeure au 310 rue Maine. La recommandation majoritaire est d'approuver. Donc, la présente résolution vise à approuver le PIA au 310 rue Maine.
Merci. Do I have a mover? Peter Mate, seconded by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 3.3, 357 Main, a new detached single-family construction. So this is the empty lot next to Como Gardens at Main.
Correct. So a permit request was received for a new detached single-family construction at 357 Main. TPAC is unanimous in the recommendation to refuse the SPAPE. The unfulfilled criteria include to favor a rural or country architectural character with high-pitched roofs and exterior siding materials to be in harmony with neighboring buildings and the environment, to ensure that the architectural elements respect the architectural character of the building, and to ensure that the exterior finish materials are in harmony with the architecture of the building and that their number be reduced to a minimum.
Point 3.3, le 357 Main, PIA nouvelle construction unifamiliale. Une demande de permis a été reçue pour une nouvelle construction unifamiliale au 357 rue Maine. La recommandation unanime du comité consultatif d'urbanisme est de refuser le PIA pour les critères non remplis, de favoriser une architecture à caractère rural ou de villégiature avec des toits à pente forte et des matériaux de revêtement de façon à être en harmonie avec les bâtiments et le secteur environnant, de s'assurer que les éléments architecturaux respectent le caractère architectural du bâtiment et de s'assurer que les matériaux de revêtement extérieur cadrent bien avec l'architecture du bâtiment et que leur nombre soit réduit au minimum. Alors, la présente résolution vise à refuser le PIA relatif à la demande du 357 rue Maine.
Merci. Do I have a proposer? Reed, and seconded by Mark Gray. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand.
So it's Mr. Thompson and Mr. Gray.
Gray, the charming one with the,
yeah.
the nice smile. It is carried unanimously. Item 3.4, 413 Main, major renovation.
So at 413 Main, a permit request was received for major renovations. This is basically the building next to the church, I believe.
It is the presbytery.
Yeah,
This is a file that's been at the table a few times.
Right.
It was a gift from the community, the religious community, to Père de Mers, who has recently retired, and they were looking to give him this as soon as possible. It's taken a little longer. Here we are.
Well, so here we are. So TPAC is unanimous in the recommendation to approve the SPAPE permit request at 413 Main.
Allez-y en français.
Alors, 413 rue Maine, le PIA rénovation majeure. Une demande de permis a été reçue pour des travaux de rénovation majeure pour le 413 rue Maine. La recommandation unanime du comité consultatif d'urbanisme est d'approuver le PIA. Alors, la présente résolution vise à approuver le PIA relatif à la demande du 413 rue Maine.
Merci. Do I have a mover? Peter Mate, seconded by Benoît Blais. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 3.5, authorization to apply urban planning regulations. This is for the update to a designation. So whereas the town adopted a resolution R 2023-02-25 awarding a service contract to Justim for an additional resource in urban planning, the change of the person assigned to the town of Hudson is being changed as a designated official for the application of the following bylaws, which are listed in this resolution. So the resolution is to appoint Simon Olivier Deng as the authority having jurisdiction for all of the bylaws that apply, and to appoint any other existing or future employee of Gestion électrique de Services Techniques et d'Inspection Municipale, Inc., in replacement of Simon Olivier Deng as authority having jurisdiction for the bylaws mentioned in this resolution. So simply to continue to mention that we have a department that should have 6 employees. Presently we have 3, so 2 in urban planning and 1 as an inspector. There are none in environment, so we have to outsource to 2 firms for the permits. So the easier permits, if we want the more straightforward permits, go to these 2 entities who are actually employees of these external firms who work in the offices of the town under the supervision of our employees. However, every time they change these employees, we have to retrain them. So we kind of get the bottom of their rung, if we want, and we have to start again. So it's quite time consuming, but it is the best that we have to offer at this time, considering that it is very difficult to find and to keep any employees at this time, and it continues to play a very, very strong role in some of the delays that several people are coming across. So I believe we're not the only town who is living through this shortage of manpower, and it continues to be a concern of ours, and we are working very hard to fix it. En français, je suis désolée. Vous n'avez pas besoin de tout dire, là, juste les parties qui sont écrites.
Merci. 3.5, autorisation d'application des règlements d'urbanisme. Alors, c'est une mise à jour des désignations. La résolution numéro R 2023-02-25 par laquelle la Ville a octroyé un contrat de service avec Gestim pour une ressource supplémentaire en urbanisme. Considérant le changement de la personne attitrée au contrat de la Ville de Hudson à titre de fonctionnaire désigné pour l'application justement des règlements d'urbanisme. Alors, la présente résolution vise à nommer Simon Olivier Dagne à titre de fonctionnaire désigné pour tout ce qui concerne la réglementation d'urbanisme et de nommer également tout autre employé existant ou futur de la compagnie Gestion électronique de services techniques et d'inspection municipale en remplacement à Simon-Olivier Dagne à titre de fonctionnaire désigné pour les règlements mentionnés ici haut. Et je rappelle, c'est tous des règlements d'urbanisme.
Merci beaucoup. Do I have a mover? Mark Gray, seconded by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. The next item, 3.6, is simply a tabling of the monthly report for permits issued for June of 2023, so there is no vote. Members of council take note of the tabling of the monthly report for permits issued by the Urban Planning Department for the month of June.
Le point 3.6, dépôt du rapport mensuel des permis émis pour juin 2023. Alors, les membres du Conseil prennent acte du dépôt du rapport mensuel des permis émis du service de l'urbanisme.
Merci. The next point is also a point without a vote. It is simply item 3.7, tabling of the minutes of the Town Planning Advisory Committee, so TPAC, for the month of June of 2023. We've started this practice in May, although there are meeting minutes from the years, I believe, of 2014 to 2017, and I'm going from memory, but you will find those on the website if you are interested. But we're restarting that practice where we've had to simplify our note-taking, and you'll find actually in the ones that are already available online for May, where we've had to redact, so hide the name of the professional that was hired by the person who brought the file to the table. So this is essentially to simplify where we don't have to go to the to that person and ask for their authorization to publish their name. It is simpler for us to redact it, but in future meeting minutes, we just simply will not even mention their name, and then we won't have to redact. So it is a great practice to share meeting minutes, but it also means that our meeting minutes have had to be simplified. So item 3.7, tabling of the minutes for Town Planning Advisory Committee, where the members of council take note of the tabling of the minutes of Town Planning Advisory Committee for the month of June.
Alors, c'est un deuxième dépôt, le point 3.7, dépôt du procès-verbal du comité consultatif d'urbanisme pour le mois de juin 2023. Comme la mairesse expliquait, c'est que le procès-verbal du mois de mai, compte tenu que c'est une nouveauté dans la composition, dans la rédaction du procès-verbal, des noms avaient été inscrits. Donc, le procès-verbal, vous allez le retrouver sur le site caviardé avec des éléments noirs pour cacher le nom des personnes ressources. Alors, dorénavant, ce qu'on va faire, justement, à cause de la confidentialité de l'information, il va y avoir plutôt des génériques plutôt que de nommer les personnes. Alors, les membres du Conseil prennent acte du dépôt du procès-verbal du comité consultatif d'urbanisme pour le mois de juin.
Merci, Madame Écriture. We're passing to Section 4 on Administration and Finance, where item 4.1 is the approval of disbursements for July of 2023. This resolution is to approve the following disbursements as of July 27th of 2023 for a subtotal of $1,245,053.88 and for a total of accounts paid of $1,555,487.47. This includes 2 payrolls. Darren, did you want to add something? No? Allez-y.
Alors, le point 4, administration et finances. Alors, on passe à l'approbation des paiements pour le mois de juillet 2023. Alors, c'est d'approuver le paiement des comptes au 27 juillet 2023 pour un sous-total des paiements de 1 245 053,88 sous et un total des comptes à payer de 1 555 487,47.
Merci beaucoup. Do I have a mover? So moved by Benoit Blais, seconded by Peter Mate. Are there any objections, thank you, to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 4.2, delegation to treasurer, power to make reimbursements during refinancing. Whereas loan bylaws 494, 504, 513, 518, 519, 524, 553, 554, 574, 581, 596, 603, 612, 670-2016, 695-2017, and 687-2017 are being refinanced in September of 2023 and October of 2023, and such have excess balances available on said borrowing bylaws or reserved funds. Whereas the amount to be refinanced is $9,273,000, whereas the town may proceed with a reimbursement before the September and October 2023 refinancing of the excess balances of $3,156,576 on the said borrowing bylaws and $719,424 of the reserved funds for an amount of $3,876,000. Whereas the town, following the acceptance of reimbursement of the excess balances of $3,876,000, must proceed with a refinancing of $5,397,000. This resolution is that Council of the Town of Hudson delegates to the Treasurer the power to reimburse the excess balances of the loan bylaws and the reserved fund in the amount of $3,876,000, and that the Council of the Town of Hudson delegates to the Treasurer the power to grant the refinancing contract in the amount of $5,397,000. So out of this, what you should take away is that we still have a lot, I think it's 16 loan bylaws that are going through refinancing. And a portion of our surplus is being used to pay those down. And it essentially brings our long-term debt level in keeping with before last year, since last year we had incurred a loan for the revitalization of Main Road, so that beautification project. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I think point of clarification that these are mostly residual funds from these bylaw loans that had been either overfinanced or had come in under the budget that was anticipated. So this is kind of old house cleaning, and it's basically taking money that's just sitting there with no place to go.
Which is the unaffected surplus, right? So as Darren explained, this is sort of part of the regular housekeeping that happens every time these terms come up. So every 5 years, the long-term loans need to be renegotiated, and when they are below a certain amount, we usually pay them down or off completely. But we do incur new loan bylaws as well as we improve on our infrastructures. So it seems like big amounts, but it is part of previous decisions that have come along. This is just really the financing portion of them. Ça va? Oui.
Le point 4.2, alors délégation au trésorier, pouvoir de procéder au remboursement lors d'un refinancement. Alors, considérant que les règlements d'emprunt 494, 504, 513, 518, 519, 524, 553, 554, 574, 581, 596, 603, 612, 670, 26, 695, 27 et 687, 27 viennent en refinancement en septembre 2023 et en octobre 2023 et que ceux-ci ont des soldes excédentaires disponibles sur l'édit règlement d'emprunt ou des fonds réservés. Alors, considérant que le montant à refinancer est de 9 273 000, considérant que la Ville peut procéder à un remboursement avant le refinancement de septembre et d'octobre 2023 des soldes excédentaires de 3 156 576 sur l'édit règlement d'emprunt et de 719 424 des fonds réservés pour un montant total de 3 876 000 $. Considérant que la Ville, suite à l'acceptation de rembourser ses soldes excédentaires de 3 876 000 $, doit procéder à un refinancement de 5 397 000 $. Alors, la présente résolution vise à ce que le Conseil de la Ville de Hudson délègue au trésorier le pouvoir de procéder au remboursement des soldes excédentaires des règlements d'emprunt et du fonds réservé pour un montant de 3 876 000 $. Et le Conseil de la Ville de Hudson délègue au trésorier également le pouvoir d'accorder le contrat de refinancement au montant de 5 397 000 $. Parce que c'est le montant de refinancement total. Une des parties de ce montant-là va pouvoir servir de remboursement et on va refinancer uniquement la part que la Ville d'Hudson a besoin et ça va avoir comme effet de baisser la dette.
I see a past councillor in the door who was actually a finance person on previous council. Yes, Darren, go ahead.
No, just motion.
Oh. So it is moved by Darren Legault. Is it seconded by Benoit Blais? Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. No, there are none. It is carried unanimously. I was trying to remember the name of that councillor.
Sorry?
Previous council, no, Prévost administration councillor in charge. Ron Goldenberg, thank you. That's who was there. All right, section 5, town clerk. That is Mrs. McKercher's favorite section. So item 5.1, renewal disaster victim service agreement for Red Cross, ENT 2023-14. We go through this every year. Whereas the town and the Canadian Red Cross Society have an agreement for disaster services which expires next October, whereas it is necessary to renew the agreement with the Canadian Red Cross Society for 2 years. with an option to renew for 1 year. This resolution is to authorize town clerk to sign for and on behalf of the town the service agreement for disaster victims between the town and the Canadian Red Cross Society and the payment of the annual contribution at the rate of 20 cents per capita for the years 2023 and 2024, and also from 2024 to 2025. So we do use their services. They certainly were made available to us during the last ice storm, and we did benefit from their support. So this is a wonderful organization to have as partners whenever there is, unfortunately, poor events taking place on our territory.
5.1, renouvellement entente de service aux sinistrés avec la Croix-Rouge. Alors, c'est l'entente 2023-14. La Ville et la Société canadienne de la Croix-Rouge ont une entente visant les services aux sinistrés qui arrive à échéance au mois d'octobre prochain. Il y a lieu de renouveler pour une durée de 2 ans avec une option de renouvellement d'1 an. Alors, la présente résolution vise à autoriser la greffière à signer pour et au nom de la Ville l'entente de service aux sinistrés entre la Ville et la Société canadienne de la Croix-Rouge, le paiement de la contribution annuelle au taux de 20 sous par habitant pour les années 2023-2024 et 2024-2025.
Merci. Do I have proposer? Darren Legault, seconded by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? There are none. It is carried unanimously. So here comes item 5.2, notice of preemptive rights. The town may exercise a preemptive right on any immovable it wishes to acquire for municipal purposes. Whereas the coming into force on April 5th of 2023 of the bylaw respecting the exercise of preemptive rights on the territory of Hudson, this resolution provides that a notice of preemptive rights be registered in the Land Register Office for the lots to be listed below. So I will read these out. Cadastral designation, so you'll always get a series of 7 numbers, and then I will give the municipal purposes for which these are reserved. So lot 6359848 for natural area, park, and public space. Lot 3080938 for public road, infrastructure, or collective agreement. Collective equipment. My mind is elsewhere. Lot 3080948 for natural area, park, and public space. Lot 3080947 for natural area, park, and public space, and public road. Lot 3080940 for public road. Lot 3080941 for public road. Lot 310765 for natural area, park, and public space. Lot 6387313 for natural area, park, and public space, and infrastructure or collective equipment. Lot 1832550 for conservation of heritage interest buildings, infrastructure or collective equipment, institutional equipment, and social, community, or affordable housing. Lot 1834085 for natural area, park, and public space. Lot 1832543 for natural area, park, and public space, housing, social, community, or affordable housing, infrastructure, collective equipment, institutional equipment. And lot 1833286, I feel like I'm reading bingo, conservation of heritage interest buildings, infrastructure, or collective equipment, or institutional equipment. And that's half of the number. So, and it's also for social, community, or affordable housing. Also moving to lot 1834937 for infrastructure or collective equipment. Lot 1833802 for conservation of heritage interest buildings, infrastructure, or collective equipment, institutional equipment, social, community, or affordable housing. Lot 1833813 for conservation of the heritage interest buildings, infrastructure or collective equipment, institutional equipment, social, community, or affordable housing. Lot 5970082 for conservation of heritage interest buildings, infrastructure or collective equipment, institutional equipment, social, community, or affordable housing. Lot 5970081 for infrastructure or collective equipment, institutional equipment, social, community, or affordable housing. 5 to go. Lot 1833349 for social, community, or affordable housing. Lot 1833746 for natural area, park, and public space. Lot 4083379 for natural area, park, and public space. Lot 6312899 for natural area, park, and public space. Lot 6312900 for natural area, park, and public space. Est-ce que, Madame McCurcher, on pourrait, une fois qu'on dépose notre procès verbal, y inclure, parce qu'on a des cartes qui viennent positionner. Je pense que ce travail va aider aussi.
On a des cartes.
So we have maps of where of those lots so that people who may know the area can actually identify, because they're actually groups. They're groups of lots. To give you an example, some you may recognize as Sandy Beach in the area and the street, so there's quite a few lots there. We have also, for example, the Manoir Cavagnal. We have, I believe, we have in here the Como Golf Course.
Yep. Como.
There's 2 lots, the ones that are unbuilt on Como Gardens at the end of those semi-detached houses that were built along Como Gardens. There are churches as well. There's parking lots behind churches or next to churches. So there's essentially, it's lots that we have been thinking for a while that it would be a real loss if those fell into the hands, into public hands, considering that there is a certain interest, public interest, and also in the past there's been subsidies and support, or public support and public monies that have gone into some of these properties as subsidies. So this will help us. For example, if I take the Manoir Cavagnal as an example, it'd be a shame if that turned into the hands of a condominium developer, for example. So this gives us sort of a stopgap moment to say, wait a minute, we could acquire it for the public good. In the case of social housing, for example, there is an entity that exists at the regional level who could take over this type of property and continue the service that it provides to the community. So I know it sounds like a lot of properties, but I do invite you, once we will adopt these in September, a few days afterwards, you will see the maps and you can maybe get a grasp of where these are.
Not attached to the
À moins que vous vouliez le faire, c'est à vous, en annexe.
C'est plus difficile.
C'est un peu lourd. There's a lot of them. Moi, je pense plus pour information.
Oui,
so the question was, would we include them as annex, which makes them formal, like part of the legal? I mean, they're already formalized by the listing of the lots, but it's more for people who might be interested in seeing where they're located.
Yep.
And anyway, this is public information, and the owners will be notified anyway, so there's no secrets here. En français?
Français.
Bonne lecture, Madame McCurcher.
Alors, c'est un avis d'assujettissement au point 5.2 au droit de préemption. Alors, la Ville peut exercer un droit de préemption sur tout immeuble qu'elle souhaite acquérir à des fins municipales. L'entrée en vigueur le 5 avril 2023 du règlement relatif à l'exercice du droit de préemption donne le droit que soit inscrit au registre foncier un avis d'assujettissement au droit de préemption pour les lots suivants. Alors, le lot 6, 355, 848 comme espace naturel public et parc, 3080, 938 comme voie publique ou comme infrastructure ou équipement collectif, 3080, 948 comme espace naturel public ou parc, le 3080 947 comme espace naturel, public ou parc ou voie publique. Le 30800 3 080 940 comme voie publique, le lot 3 080 941 comme voie publique, le lot 3 810 765 comme espace naturel, public et parc, 6 387 313 comme espace naturel, public et parc, comme infrastructure ou équipement collectif. 1 832 550 comme conservation d'immeubles d'intérêt patrimonial, comme infrastructure ou équipement collectif, comme équipement institutionnel, comme logement social, communautaire ou abordable. Le lot 1 834 085 comme espace naturel, public et parc. Le lot 1 832 543 comme espace naturel, public et parc, comme habitation, logement social, communautaire ou abordable, infrastructure ou équipement collectif ou équipement institutionnel. Le lot 1 833 286 comme conservation d'immeubles d'intérêt patrimonial, infrastructure ou équipement collectif ou équipement institutionnel. Ou comme logement social, communautaire ou abordable. Le lot 1 834 937 comme infrastructure ou équipement collectif. Le lot 1 833 802 comme conservation d'immeubles d'intérêt patrimonial, infrastructure ou équipement collectif, équipement institutionnel ou logement social, communautaire ou abordable. Le lot 1 833 813 conservation d'immeubles d'intérêt patrimonial, infrastructure ou équipement collectif, équipement institutionnel, logement social, communautaire ou abordable. Le lot 5 970 082 conservation d'immeubles d'intérêt patrimonial, infrastructure ou équipement collectif, équipement institutionnel, logement social, communautaire ou abordable. Le lot 5 970 081 infrastructure ou équipement collectif, équipement institutionnel, logement social, communautaire ou abordable. Le lot 1 833 349 logement social, communautaire ou abordable. Le lot 1 833 746 espace naturel, public et parc. Le lot 4 083 379 espace naturel, public et parc. Le lot 6 312 899 espace naturel, public et parc. Et le lot 6 312 900 également espace naturel, public et parc. Et ce sont tous des fins à caractère municipal.
Merci. Merci pour votre travail aussi. So may I have a mover? Mark Gray. Oh my goodness. Seconded by Benoit Blais. Sorry.
Benoit Blais.
Benoit Blais. Are there any objections to this resolution?
Mark.
Are there any objections to this resolution? There are none. It is carried unanimously. So again, thank you everyone. This is, I think, one of the ways that the government has given greater powers to municipalities to hold greater leadership with regards to how we use our land and land use, and to be able to keep control over what our town looks like and how we provide better services, whether it's environment, whether it's social housing, whether it is heritage. And it is great that we are able to put this into action. And again, each registration, I believe, is something like $160 per lot, and it's good for 10 years. So we saw this as something that was of high value. And again, it doesn't mean that we would buy them all. It just means that at least we would be notified and have the option. And I think that in itself is already a great place to begin. So moving on to section 6, item 6.1, hiring of treasurer. So some may have forgotten, but our treasurer that we have in place now, we're very pleased with him. He was hired with a 6 months period, and we were waiting for our Director General permanent to make the decision whether the team was still good, and that was the choice of the person who is here with us now. So here we are ready to formalize this hiring. So resolution R2023-01-20, so that's from January, of the hiring of the treasurer for a fixed term of 6 months, and that the fixed term contract of employee 913 expired on July 17th of 2023. This resolution is to appoint this employee in position of treasurer retroactively to July 18th, 2023, and to confirm that the probation period ended on July 17th, to authorize the interim director general to finalize the terms and conditions of appointment. En français.
Alors, la section 6, ressources humaines, 6.1, embauche trésorier. La résolution 2023-01-20, embauche d'un trésorier à durée déterminée. Alors, le contrat à durée déterminée de l'employé 913 est à échéance le 17 juillet 2023. Alors, la présente résolution vise à nommer l'employé 913 au poste de trésorier rétroactivement au 18 juillet 2023, que la période de probation s'est terminée en date du 17 juillet 2023. Le directeur général par intérim, le Conseil autorise le directeur général par intérim à finaliser les modalités de nomination.
Merci. Proposer. Reed Thompson, seconded by Darren Legault. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Donc, bienvenue, Mario. On est très heureux de t'avoir parmi nous. Merci pour ton excellent travail déjà. Et on est très fiers que tu sois avec nous en permanence. Item 6.2, hiring contract for the Finance Department. Whereas the Finance Department has been without one of its accounting technicians since April 5th for an indeterminate period of time, this resolution is to retain the services of a resource person as temporary consultant to the Finance Department, and that the duration of the mandate is for a maximum of 22 weeks, or upon the return of the employee on an absence, whichever comes first, at an hourly rate of $40 an hour for a maximum amount of $15,900 before deductions, and to retain the services of the firm Robert Half as accounting technician for the Finance Department, and that the duration of the mandate be a maximum of 22 weeks, which we have said, upon which the return it's for two people. And upon the return of the employee on absence, whichever comes first, at an hourly rate of $52 for a maximum amount of $27,500 before taxes. En français.
6.2, embauche contractuelle, département des finances. Le service des finances est dépourvu d'une de ses techniciennes en comptabilité depuis le 5 avril, et ce pour une durée indéterminée. Alors, la présente résolution vise à retenir les services d'une personne ressource à titre de consultant temporaire attitré au service des finances. La durée du mandat soit d'un maximum de 22 semaines ou au retour de l'employé qui est absente selon la première échéance, à un taux horaire de 40 $ pour un montant maximal de 15 900 $ avant déduction, et de retenir les services de la firme Robert Half pour un contrat temporaire à titre de technicien comptable attitré au service des finances. La durée du mandat soit d'un maximum de 22 semaines ou au retour de l'employé en absence selon la première échéance, à un taux horaire de 52 $ pour un montant maximal de 27 500 $ avant taxe.
Merci. So perhaps to provide a little more background on this, Robert Half is a placement firm or human resources firm that we've used multiple times for the Treasury Department. It's actually how we found Mario. I believe it was also how we got Pierre, if I remember correctly. Maybe not, but at least Mario. And also considering that we have a lot of documentation and coordination to do with the CMQ with regards to the audit on surpluses, it is taking up a certain amount of time, which is normal. It is a good thing, but also we don't want to fall back on our schedule as well on preparation of the upcoming budget, so budget preparations for 2024. And also, as we explained, there was a person in the department who is on long-term leave, and we want to make sure that the rest of the staff is well cared for. So this is it. Mover? Reed Thompson, seconder. Benoit Blais. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 6.3, disciplinary measures, administrative suspension. Whereas the recommendations submitted by the Human Resources Coordinator and the Director General by interim, I'm guessing, This resolution is to approve and ratify the administrative suspension of employee 1000 for the purpose of investigation and signed by the Director General by interim. En français.
6.3, mesures disciplinaires, suspension administrative. La recommandation formulée par le Service des ressources humaines et du directeur général par intérim. Alors, la présente résolution vise à approuver et ratifier la suspension administrative pour fin d'enquête de l'employé 1000, signée par le directeur général par intérim.
Merci beaucoup. Mover. Darren Legault, seconded. Peter Mate, are there any objections to this resolution? There are none. It is carried unanimously. Section 7, Culture and Recreation. Item 7.1, Hudson Day, August 26th, use of parking lots and parking bans. So Hudson Day will be held on Saturday, August 26th from 12 to 5 p.m. This resolution is to approve the use of the Town Hall and Selkirk parking lots on Saturday, August 26th of 2023, to approve the installation of no parking signs the Friday 25th of August along Main Street from Cedar Street to McNaughton Streets on both sides, along Cedar Street from Main Street to Saint-Jean Street on two sides, both sides, along Selkirk Street from Main Street to Park Street on both sides, along McNaughton Street from Main to Saint-Jean on both sides, where commercial parking is not included, I guess in the ban, and along Pine Street from Main Street to Lakeview Street on one side only, and along Lower Maple Street, that would be your street, on one side only, and along Reed Street on one side only. So essentially all of these is just to make sure that as we widen the pedestrian way, there will be barriers beyond the sidewalks, but it is to ensure that along Main, traffic will continue to be able to circulate, but pedestrians will be within safe boundaries with the barriers and have a wider space to walk on. So it's essentially for safety purposes, and make sure that our security safety personnel can get through on our rather narrow streets during this day. Yes? Go ahead.
I'm sort of curious, does this actually need a resolution?
We have done it every year. It informs the public, and I guess that we probably have our community patrol that has to go by and enforce this bylaw, so it gives them the right to tell people to move aside. Okay. Yeah. So, en français?
Alors, la section 7, culture et loisirs. Point 7.1, journée Hudson 26 août, utilisation des stationnements et interdiction de stationner. Alors, la journée Hudson aura lieu le samedi 26 août 2023 de midi à 17h. La présente résolution vise l'utilisation du stationnement de l'Hôtel de Ville et de Selkirk le samedi 26 août 2023 et l'installation de panneaux d'interdiction de stationner le vendredi 25 août le long de la rue Main, de la rue Cédar à la rue McNaughton, des deux côtés, le long de la rue Cédar, de la rue Main à la rue Saint-Jean, les deux côtés, le long de la rue Selkirk, de la rue Main à la rue Park, des deux côtés, le long de la rue McNaughton, de la rue Main à la rue Saint-Jean, deux côtés, stationnement des commerçants non inclus, le long de la rue Pine, de la rue Main à la rue Lakeview, un côté, le long de la rue Lower Maple, un côté, et le long de la rue Reed, un côté.
Proposer, Mark Gray, seconded. Peter Mate. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. There are no items under Section 8 for Public Works, none under Section 9 for Public Safety, and we're coming to our final section, or almost our second to last section, I should say, on bylaws. So item 10.1, bylaw 722.1-2023, amending bylaw 722-2019 concerning nuisance. This is in relation to le règlement municipal harmonisé, so the RMH or RMH 450-2019. So this is for final adoption where Council provided notice of motion and presented the first drafts last month. And as I explained at the beginning of the meeting, we received no request for tweaking or changes. So we are proceeding with, whereas the notion of motion of this bylaw was given at the regular meeting of the Municipal Council held on July 3rd of 2023, there have been no changes to the proposed bylaw tabled on July 3rd of 2023. The purpose of this bylaw is to update the provisions specific to the municipality, in particular to modifying the hours during which noise is permitted and to regulate grass cutting. This resolution bylaw is to adopt bylaw 722-.1-2023, amending bylaw 722-2019 concerning nuisances, RMH or RMH 450-2019.
Alors, aucun sujet au point 8, travaux publics, ni à 9, sécurité publique. Alors, la section 10, règlement. 10.1, adoption du règlement 722.1-2023, modifiant le règlement 722-2019 sur les nuisances et correspond au règlement municipal harmonisé 450-2019. Alors, un avis de motion a été donné du présent règlement à la séance ordinaire du Conseil tenue le 3 juillet 2023. Le présent règlement ne comporte aucune modification au projet déposé le 3 juillet 2023 et le règlement a pour objet de mettre à jour les dispositions particulières à la municipalité, notamment de modifier les heures durant lesquelles le bruit est permis et de réglementer la coupe d'herbe. Alors, la présente résolution vise à adopter le règlement 722.1-2023, modifiant le règlement 722-2019 sur les nuisances, qui correspond au règlement municipal harmonisé 450-2019.
Merci. Reid has a question.
Just a point of clarification, due to the nature of this bylaw and the fact that these time changes are going to impact a lot of residents and it's going to be happening very quickly, will we be doing a special information campaign to notify our residents of the change of hours so that they're informed well ahead of time, they don't get a nasty surprise?
So Laura just nodded. She is our regular bulletin issuer, and I believe it will be part of one of her weekly or regular updates, just to... Okay. So yes, thank you, Reid. Do I have a mover? So Reid Thompson, seconded by Peter Mate. Are there any objections to this final adoption of the revisions to this nuisance bylaw? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. So thank you. Item 10.2, bylaw 436.1-2023, amending bylaw 436 concerning open air fires. I know after all this rain, it seems almost a little... But true, we're preparing for a future year. So whereas the notice of motion of this bylaw was given at the regular meeting of the Municipal Council held on July 3rd of 2023, there have been no changes to the proposed bylaw tabled on July 3rd of 2023. The purpose of this bylaw is to amend the current bylaw in order to promote public awareness of good practices with regards to open fires, to ensure safety for all, and to correspond to the Société de protection des forêts contre le feu, so SOPFEU, fire danger index levels. This resolution is to adopt bylaw 436-2023, amending bylaw 436 concerning open air fires. And I know this is in the back of one of our councillors' mind. We will be coming back with further amendments to this bylaw probably in the fall or when we have a little bit more time, but there are some concerns as to unsupervised fires outside of commercial entities. Is that how I should put it?
Yep.
Yes. So this is an ongoing topic, but we want to work on it, and it would be one of the topics that we could bring to our new monthly meetings with the merchants to raise this with them and to collaborate on how to come to better strategies on public safety in this case. So, en français.
Alors, le point 10.2, adoption du règlement 436.1-2023, modifiant le règlement 436 concernant les feux à ciel ouvert. Alors, un avis de motion du présent règlement a été donné à la séance ordinaire du Conseil tenue le 3 juillet 2023. Le présent règlement ne comporte aucune modification au projet déposé le 3 juillet 2023. Le règlement a pour objet d'apporter des modifications au règlement en vigueur afin de sensibiliser la population sur les bonnes pratiques concernant les feux à ciel ouvert, d'assurer la sécurité pour tous et de correspondre avec le niveau de la Société de protection des forêts contre le feu, la SOPFEU, relativement aux indices de niveau de danger contre les incendies. Alors, la présente résolution est pour adopter le règlement 436.1-2023, modifiant le règlement 436 concernant les feux à ciel ouvert.
Merci beaucoup. Do I have a mover? Benoit Blais, seconded by Peter Mate. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. So here we are at the second question period. If there are any questions, please come to the mic, or are there questions online?
I have a question from Jim Duff.
Yes, please go ahead, Jim.
It's concerning 5.2, the notice of preemptive rights. I have a few questions about this. First, I think it would be helpful if you just, because it's a fairly short list, if you just gave the names of the places that are actually being categorized. I think that would help for people to understand it, because it leads to one question. And you know me, I know cadastral numbers pretty well. So I'm looking at Wyman Memorial, Wyman Memorial parking lot, where the Villa Wyman is to be built. So there's a little confusion here. We've approved this. I think your council approved that Villa Wyman project, but now you're putting a preemptive right on the law. So it leads me into asking just exactly what are you attempting to do with this?
It is simply, I gave a few names, that one sort of skipped my mind, but it is really to give the town a chance in case that lot is sold, or the lot next to it is sold, the temple is sold. It doesn't mean that we are turning down the project. As you've said yourself, we actually have supported this project, but one never knows. This project may not go to construction, or it may be built, and maybe in 5 years it may come up for sale. So this is one way that a town has to keep control, to avoid properties to turn into private hands, where then obviously the cost becomes different, where how do you say, the profit margin is then tabulated into it. So I think I'd said there's the group of lots around Sandy Beach. I don't know them all by heart, but you're correct. I could have certainly printed out that table and done a recap. There are the churches. I did mention that, but I should have said churches and temple. There are the parkings next to the churches, so that would be behind St. Thomas, next to Wyman, or next to the Sikh temple. There is Como Gulf. There's a couple of lots on Como Gardens. Le Manoir Cavagnal, which I'd mentioned. So that pretty much gives you an idea of what we were looking for. It was really big parcels that we were expecting that at any point in the next 10 years could come up as lots of interest for any town that is looking to keep some sort of control over its character.
Yeah. I don't disagree with this. I think this is a good thing. You and I have talked about this in the past. But one of the things that I read the legislation, and it seems that the preemption, as you say, last 10 years, at any point, it would trigger an expropriation process, which would bind the hands of subsequent councils because your term will be up.
No.
So the question is,
I disagree. That's not how that works. It's not an expropriation. It really is a first right of refusal on a sale. So if the owners do not want their property and they put it up for sale, we have the first right of refusal at the price of sale. But we can also turn it down, but there is no expropriation involved.
But the legislation actually says that there is an expropriation. It triggers the, I'm translating as I go, it triggers an expropriation process.
No, I'm sorry, Jim. It really doesn't.
Okay, so I misread it then. So, and I guess the question remains is, Sandy Beach, you're going after the full Monty here. I mean, it's all of the cadastral numbers.
I think we're just making sure that if the opportunity comes up, we would like to have the first choice, the first option.
And that means that you're bound by the sale price that they're asking.
If they put it up for a sales price and we find that the price is too high or not interesting, we absolutely have the opportunity or the option to turn it down and to let the sale go to the next person.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Est-ce que je peux apporter une petite précision? Avec le droit de préemption, à partir du moment où un propriétaire met sa propriété à vendre, c'est à partir du moment où il reçoit une offre d'achat concrète avec un montant. Et c'est à ce moment-là, c'est ça qui va faire part à la Ville. Il va, dans un premier temps, avant de l'accepter, il faut qu'il demande à la Ville, j'ai une offre d'achat de temps, est-ce que la Ville, on a 60 jours pour...
le notaire qui va lui signaler s'il s'en souvient.
C'est le propriétaire. C'est l'obligation du propriétaire avant de passer chez le notaire, avant que le propriétaire accepte l'offre d'achat. Il doit...
Mais ce n'est pas tous les propriétaires qui vont se souvenir qu'il y a...
Ça ne passera pas au notaire.
C'est ça que je veux dire, c'est le notaire finalement qui va le signaler. So what Mrs. McKercher, I don't know, Jim, if you understood that, but it was reiterating that the owner has the obligation to submit the same offer to the town first before proceeding with the sale to the intended person. If they don't remember to do so, it will certainly be flagged by the notary at the time of the transaction where the town has first right of refusal. But it is not an expropriation. It is if the owner chooses to put their property on the market. There is no loss to them because it's the same amount. It is the offer that they had originally intended on accepting from someone else. It's just they would be selling to the town rather than someone else for the same amount.
Would we not find ourselves in the position of having to buy, for instance, in the case of Sandy Beach, one lot at a time, because the developer might only be selling it or flipping it?
Absolutely. So if they only put up some lots for sale, not all of them, the option only comes up as they sell each individual lot. That's why the list is the list of 22 lots.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good, thanks.
You're welcome. Are there other questions? I see two journalists in the room. I wish I could give you the option to ask a question. That's all right. Are there more questions online?
Yes, I have Monsieur Gagnon.
Oui, Monsieur Gagnon, allez-y.
Oui, bonsoir. Je voudrais profiter de l'occasion pour faire un suivi sur le dossier que j'ai présenté vers vous il y a 2 mois relativement à la signalisation de défense de stationner qui est déficiente sur Royal View, adjacent à Sandy Beach. Alors, je voulais savoir où on en était avec ça.
D'accord, c'était vous. Je ne sais pas si le comité de circulation s'est rencontré depuis. Do you remember the question? Je pense qu'il y avait eu confusion. Oui, vas-y.
On n'a pas eu de comité.
Donc, le comité ne s'est pas rencontré depuis. Il se rencontre la semaine prochaine.
Je pense que oui.
Donc, il y aura une résolution en septembre qui sera soit en faveur ou non de votre requête.
Ou non, ça demande.
Ben, en fait, écoutez, je n'ai pas une requête vraiment particulière autre que de remettre en place l'affichage qui était déjà présent, mais qui a juste été abattu par les véhicules.
OK, mais je pense que les deux conseillers à la table vont faire un suivi pour vous à ce sujet. Je pense qu'ils ont vos coordonnées. Oui. Donc, ils se rencontrent mardi de la semaine prochaine, puis il devrait y avoir un suivi au courant de la semaine prochaine.
C'est surtout ce qu'on demande, c'est une maintenance de la signalisation, puis aussi une maintenance de la rue, parce qu'il y a aussi un lampadaire qui a été fauché, puis qui n'a pas été remplacé depuis plusieurs mois.
Est-ce que vous en avez fait la requête à la Ville?
Oui.
Oui?
Oui.
Marie-Jacinthe? Elle prend en note votre commentaire, donc elle va vérifier, puis elle en fera le suivi demain.
Ça avait été communiqué initialement via Mélissa, mais je sais qu'elle avait fait suivre le dossier là, après. Là,
parfait. Aussi, ce qui est encore mieux pour nous, c'est si vous remplissez les demandes de requête en ligne, parce que vous obtenez un numéro de suivi, puis ça permet justement à comptabiliser le type de requête, à leur rapidité à être réglée, mais aussi à s'assurer qu'on vous donne un suivi, donc elle tombe moins fréquemment entre deux chaises, mais donc ça, c'est vraiment la meilleure pratique à suivre, puis c'est celle qu'on recommande à nos citoyens aussi quand ils nous contactent.
Parfait, c'est noté, merci.
Bienvenue. Are there other questions?
Yes, Helen Kurganski, during our public events, it's understandable we close off certain roads for parking. We close off some parking lots, and have provisions been made for where all the people that we've invited to come and visit our beautiful town, where can they go park? For the customers of our businesses, where they can go to park? Because I've been hearing that, I don't know if provisions have been made and if good, clear signage has been made, because I've been hearing some grumblings of visitors who come to attend some of our events and ended up getting parking tickets, quite hefty parking tickets. Some of the clients of certain businesses end up trying to go in for 30 minutes to get something and coming out and there's a ticket on their car. So are we doing a planning to compensate for the moments when we do have our events?
As you would remember, the parking here at St. Thomas School is opened up and there's directional signs, and also the parking at the snow dump is also with directional signs and indicated. But that's a good comment, and I see that Marie-Jacinthe is taking that into note.
I think we can do better, and we do want to make it attractive to the town, make it a friend, and maybe we could be just a little bit more lenient on those special days when we're celebrating our town to be friendly to our citizens and to our visitors.
I think we're trying to also keep it very safe, but I hear you, and thank you very much, Helen. Thank you. Yeah. Questions? No? I believe we are done. Are there any new business? Anyone want to raise anything? Section 11, new business. Moving on to Section 12, adjournment of the meeting. I need a mover, Peter Mate, seconded by Mark Gray, that the meeting be adjourned at 9:25 p.m. Are there any objections to this resolution? Oh, it is carried, no, unanimously. So thank you everyone for attending, and we will see you next month.